Back here on HQ Spotlight, let's get the NFL chat going. Caleb Williams told us his goal at the beginning of the year was to become the first Bears quarterback with 4,000 passing yards in a single season. And after a standout game on Sunday, that second-year quarterback now on pace to exceed that number. We're projecting him to hit 4,071. That's if he stays on course. You know, Caleb has been benefiting from creative and even aggressive play calling from Ben Johnson. Here's Caleb on how much his head coach has helped him grow in all areas in 25.
Being able to come in here and know that I have somebody that has my back, and we go through similar, scrutiny and all of that. So being in similar positions, but also in that way, and then also just you can feel his energy, you can feel his love for the game, us as players, and his want to win. And I think those are a lot of similarities in my life and my daily life and my game. And so having someone like that in your corner, it builds energy every single day to get up and come in here, find ways to get better, and try and lead these guys to victory.
Of course, Caleb also said he wanted a 70% completion percentage by the end of the year. He's got some work to do there, but a chance to improve it on Sunday. So let's break it down with our crew. JP Acosta and Tyler Sullivan back with us here. Fellas, let's start with Caleb because he's throwing passes. He's now catching passes. At this point, it's like, what can't he do, Tyler? What's the biggest area of improvement that you've seen from Caleb Williams that really stands out to you?
Well, to me, I just think it's the overall relative command of the offense. That's a tough thing to do. You got to remember, he is going off of a new entire system going from year one to year two. We talk about it all the time, why some of these top, highly touted quarterbacks don't work out in the NFL. A lot of the times it's because offensive coordinators are changing all around him, head coaches are changing all around him, and you bring in a guy like Ben Johnson, you're trying to stabilize an important asset in Caleb Williams, obviously with the number one overall pick. And so far, it does look like it's working relatively well. You alluded to, yes, there are still some things that we need to figure out in terms of the accuracy, in terms of he does have the highest off-target throw rate in the NFL. So you can be a little bit more of a precision passer if we're trying to nitpick here. But overall, I think it's just the overall command of this offense. He's certainly better protected this season after they've figured out the offensive line in free agency and at the NFL draft and in trades and all of that. But to me, it's just the overall command of this offense going from Matt Eberflus and company now to Ben Johnson.
And Tyler hit it on the head. I think the biggest thing is that there is a floor, a noticeable floor with the offense for Caleb Williams this season. It felt like last season there was no floor. Everything was so tight. There was zero margin for error for Caleb Williams. I think with Ben Johnson and what he's done is maximize this offense around what his young quarterback can do. He's really good throwing on the move. He's really good at using play action. I think those are things that are noticeable changes within this offense for Caleb Williams, and his air yards per attempt has gone up from 2024 to 2025. So there's a noticeable idea and process, and you can tell Caleb Williams' head is in the right place. Like Tyler said, there's some accuracy stuff they still need to iron out. But as we saw with Jared Goff in his first year with under Ben Johnson, he improved in the second half of the season. So now you're sort of expecting that for Caleb Williams in an offense that's really seemed to be built around his strengths and minimizing his weaknesses.
Williams joined Nick Foles as the only players in NFL history with over 250 passing yards, 3 or more passing touchdowns, and 1 receiving touchdown in that game against the Bengals. It was bonkers. I still have not gotten over the result of that one. They didn't have DeAndre Swift in that game, though, against the Bengals, guys. So when we talk about impact players to watch, we did see the run game get electric there behind Kyle Monangai, 176 yards. Tyler, you're anticipating the run game to be pretty good again, too, with the return of DeAndre Swift.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's DeAndre Swift, Kyle Monangai, Roshan Johnson, or me. It does feel like anybody can run on the New York Giants. They are dead last in the NFL in 5.5 yards per carry allowed. That's not just worst in the NFL. That is the worst number in the NFL in 65 years. We've been doing this a long time, and the fact that they are this bad against the run, that's why I think, hey, maybe I can suit up and go back there, strap on a helmet, and run for a couple of yards. Not really, because that would be terrible. But overall, I do think that DeAndre Swift or Kyle Monangai, and I do think it's going to be kind of a little bit more of a committee with everybody back there, especially after seeing a rookie like Monangai go for 176 yards rushing last week. But DeAndre Swift, Monangai, Roschon Johnson, they all seem to be getting healthy, and this is an area of weakness for the New York Giants. We know that Ben Johnson is someone that, yes, is a creative offensive mind, but in his heart of hearts, he loves to run the football. Go back to his days with Detroit, whether it was Jahmyr Gibbs or David Montgomery, that two-headed monster. Well, right now, you're starting to see maybe a two-headed monster in Monangai and Swift, and I think in this game, both of them could go off.
I'm actually going to flip it Riverside for my impact player for the Bears. I'm going to go with Austin Booker, defensive lineman for the Chicago Bears. Coming off a knee injury, he was on IR for the first few games of the season. He came back, and against the Bengals, he had 4 pressures, tied for the team lead, has a 14.6% pressure rate. The Bears are 25th in pressure rate as a team this season. They have not been able to get after the quarterback, and I think Austin Booker has a really good chance to cement himself a part of the defensive line rotation for Chicago, just in his ability to win as a pass rusher. Jackson Dart is going to be the quarterback in this game, and because he is such a different quarterback under pressure than when he's not, he is very promising, but when he's under pressure, he's a different quarterback. I think having Austin Booker in this game is going to really help turn up their pass rush. I hope to see him make a few more plays this week.
I got to know Austin Booker at the Combine a few years ago when he was obviously entering the draft. A really smart, really bright guy, so excited to see him get back in the mix. Of course, on the other side of this one, guys, we know that it has just been a tough year for the Giants, and now they're hoping to avoid an 11-game losing streak. JP, what do you make of the Giants at this point? How do they manage the rest of the season when it's a double-digit road losing streak that you're staring at this weekend?
I think for the Giants and Giants fans, it's a little tough because obviously you want to see wins, but this feels like a coaching regime and a GM regime that doesn't feel like they're going to have jobs in New York next year. So what you're really hoping for is continued improvement from Jackson Dart and some establishment of who are going to be your core Giants players moving forward. You can identify Dart, you can identify Malik Neighbors, who's out for the season with a torn ACL. You can identify Wan'Dale Robinson on the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, you have the talent. It's just coaching that's sort of been setting them back this season. So I think for the Giants, just finding out who is going to be your core players. And when you find out who those guys are, you find those guys out when you're facing 10-game road losing streaks. You have a chance to break cycles. You have a chance to be the ones to end this streak. So I think this is going to be a really important game for the young guys on the team, for some of the rookies to find out who they're made of and what they're made of as they continue to move forward in this new era of players for the Giants.
I'm looking at the Giants schedule right now, just hoping to see a light at the end of the tunnel. Of course, they're at the Bears, and then they host the Packers, and they're back at the Lions, and the Patriots. Not looking good, but we will certainly stay optimistic. Tyler, if there was a way that the Giants were going to pull out an upset over the Bears this weekend, obviously it's going to take a pretty Herculean effort from the defense when you got your quarterback catching passes. You're looking at Brian Burns as an impact player here. Really, both of you guys are. But Tyler, how important is his role on that defense for the Giants this weekend?
It's massive because what has been the biggest transition, we talked about Caleb Williams earlier, one of the biggest transitions going from year 1 to year 2 is that he's not under siege a lot. The Chicago Bears have done a great job at protecting him this season. They're in the bottom in the NFL in terms of, fewest sacks allowed in the league. Well, a good way for the New York Giants to possibly pull off this upset if Brian Burns reverts the Chicago Bears offensive line to the 2024 offensive line and Caleb Williams is running for his life. And he has the caliber of talent to do it. I mean, he leads the league in sacks this season with 11. He is only 1.5 away from his career high. So to me, he is someone who has the talent to be a game wrecker. And if the Giants are going to pull off an upset, he is someone who's going to be at the center of it because you have to throw Caleb Williams off of his game. If he starts seeing ghosts, it gives Jackson Dart in the Giants offense a little bit more of a puncher's chance.
You mentioned he leads the NFL in sacks. No Giants player has led the NFL in sacks over a full season since Michael Strahan in 2003. You'd like to think that it would go a little bit further if you're Brian Burns, but nonetheless, got to get a game pick from both of you. JP, I'll come to you first. Who wins this game and how?
I really like Chicago in this game. I think they have the offense to attack some of the weak points for the Giants, like Tyler said. They are the worst run defense in a very, very long time that we see. And I think that's going to play right into what the Bears want to be offensively. And then if you're playing from behind, I just don't think Jackson Dart is the same quarterback. But I do think there's going to be a lot of points in this game. So I take the Bears in the shootout.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think the Bears win this one, and specifically because I think that they have a tremendous amount of success in the red zone. The New York Giants are one of the worst teams in the NFL in red zone touchdown efficiency. They let up scores on 70% of their opponent's trips, so it could be easy sledding in the red area for Caleb Williams and company.
Gonna be tough. All right, fellas, I appreciate the time sending our thoughts out there to the Giants, dealing with that massive matchup against the Bears and Caleb Williams, who's finding his way. Who would have thought? Get your day started Sundays, 12 Eastern, with the NFL Today crew. They set you up with all the latest storylines and all the things when it comes to the NFL.